this week I definitely have a good topic in mind. Definitely. But yeah, this week has been fun on the world of the interwebs. So there's, I'm not going to mention names. But there was a streamer that was banned this week for using what is now being coined as a gamer word. I think we can all read between the lines that it was a slur of some description, okay? And whilst there was plenty of people who were saying, good, you got banned, that's the right action to take because we shouldn't be tolerating slurs or gamer words nowadays, there was a small segment of people who was still trying to defend it by saying, oh, it's just a gamer word, like, get over yourself. People are snowflakey and all this and that. And, like, when did we become desensitized? Well, not so much desensitized. When did we become so intolerant? Or when did we start becoming intolerant of people using words that discriminate against each other just for the sake of a game? Do you know what I mean? Like, gaming is literally for everyone. Doesn't matter what sex you are, what gender you are, what you know. It doesn't matter what anything like that. Gaming is meant to be for everyone. Gaming is meant to be fun. It's supposed to be not toxic. I mean, it's a lot of people. It's a release. It's a stress release. It is a way of them escaping reality for a bit. I know it's definitely the case for me, especially if I've had a hard day or a hard week. It's great for me to just load into a fake reality and just forget about the outside world. Maybe that's healthy, maybe that's unhealthy. It works for me. But the last thing people want is to be hearing words that are deemed discriminatory against themselves. That's not how it should be. Like, if you're just like, especially if you're just playing with friends or just want to, you know, hop on for an hour, just like, oh, I'll just have a couple of games to reload, and then you're just bombarded with just toxic attitudes, toxic words. This shouldn't be the case for anyone to go through. And this whole, like, woke perception is, like, the term woke was created by people who got really upset that the words that they were using to say to other people were now deemed offensive because people stood up and was like, no, do you know what? I'm not going to take this anymore. I'm gonna, you know my own worth, know my own value, and be like, no, that's offensive to me. You're gonna stop calling me it. And the people who deem these people as woke snowflakes, they're the ones who take the most offense to it, especially when you call them out for it. But nobody should take pride in deliberately going out of their way to use a word that they really shouldn't be using anyway, just because they got upset playing a video game. Like, that's not how it's not how it should be working here. But I guess we can't really, you know, we can't really care much for that, can we? You know? But, like, and I love it when people always go, oh, these people, they wouldn't survive COD lobbies back in the day. Well, let me tell you right now, I was in those lobbies back in the day where homophobia and racism and just any form of intolerant language was just thrown around like confetti. And everyone was just numb to it because it was like, well, like, there was not, like, as much as, like, I still think that gaming companies could be doing more to protect their own community and player base. There is still a lot, especially on there's still a lot that is now in place that wasn't in place like 10, 15 years ago. Like, you know, even the report function is actually functioning in some cases. Even like as many flaws as social media has, like the ability to just take a video clip of someone being an intolerant dick and then just sharing it, just to be like, prove it, like, no, this guy is actually being a dick. Like, that does hold some power, and that holds some semblance of, you know, people not wanting to stand for shitty behaviors anymore. And I think that is only a positive thing. It's not, I mean, like I said at the start, gaming should be for everyone. It shouldn't just be for a small minority, a small, very loud minority who just want to make it as miserable as possible for everyone else. Hey, wife. Apparently so. Like especially clips in like last month where like people have actually like threatened the R word to women, which is disgraceful, to be honest. You should never be threatening that to a bloody woman. I mean, for God's sake, what is wrong with you? You should not be that. If you are that pressed in a video game to threaten that to women, you, my friend, are the problem, not the female on the other side who's probably destroying you. Like, that is bang on board for that. Like, a person's color, skin color, a person's sexuality, a person's character should not be brought into question when playing video games. Like, it's just not. You should not be that get to that point of anger to throw that kind of language around willy-nilly and be okay with it and expect everyone else to be okay with it. And if you're not, then you're deemed a snowflake. This shouldn't be the case. And I think the more of us to speak up about it, the more of us to be like a less tolerant to people who wish to speak like that and make it miserable for everyone else. I think the better the gaming community will be for it. There should be no room for it anyway. There should be no room for it in video games. Video game companies should not stand for it. If they're serious about it, in making sure that their gaming spaces are safe for everyone, are safe for anyone who wishes to play it, then it should be. But don't get me wrong. Not every game is tailored towards everyone. There would be, for example, like Call of Duty will be tailored to a certain demographic, and say like Animal Crossing will be tailored to a certain demographic. Dark Souls, Dead by Daylight, etc., etc. So you're not always going to find like a very samey audience across all the games. But what can be consistent, scarily across all the games, is the toxic minority who wish to make everyone miserable with what they want, with their own petty views, and they try to gatekeep the community by just being horrible. And this shouldn't be the case. I'm pretty sure we've all been there where we've got a little bit wound up playing a game, right? But at no point have I ever wanted to, use a racial slur or a homophobic slur or a sex. Nothing to be like nobody. You shouldn't scream down the microphone like "kill yourself" or like that's not. You should not get that pressed. It's not that serious. It's really, really not. But I think the more that we speak up about it, and the more that we go into, the more that we understand the language, the more that we understand what certain words, the effect that certain words have on other people. I think it's better for all of us. I mean, it doesn't hurt to do a little bit of learning for yourself. It doesn't hurt to just have a little bit of like, oh, do you know what? Maybe I should stop using that. Just by talking to people, just getting a gauge of different communities, of what words are suitable, what words aren't suitable. It's not that difficult. It won't take that much that much of your time. And it's like, hopefully, the minority will keep slowly getting smaller. But it's not getting small fast enough, unfortunately. But hopefully, it starts getting smaller and smaller, and we'll see from there. But until then, I don't really like people defending like gamer words crap. It shouldn't be the case where like, oh, it's just a word. Like, what does it mean to you? It's like, well, even if like the word doesn't offend me directly, I use a slur. Like, if it's not in my direction, but I know who it's aimed at, I still feel a duty to, call it out for what it is. If the more people call it out, the more, the louder the majority voice gets against it. And it shouldn't be a defeatist attitude where it's like, oh, yeah, but if I do it, like, if I say something and something actually going to be done, it's like, well, you don't know until you actually say something. And the more people that come forward about it, the better that it will be for everyone else. Like, you don't have to be offended by it to be an ally. You can be an ally without feeling offended by the language used by someone else. And that's what the gaming world needs. You need more allies to come to the... not so much come to the aid of, you know, the ones affected, but just to help be an extra voice piece, just to help them just be like, you know, what they're saying is incorrect, what they're saying is not right, but we've got you, we'll stand behind you, don't let them ruin your enjoyment of something that you enjoy, because a toxic community can drive away a fan base. It can have a detrimental effect on who decides they want to play the game, and the player base can drop off, and then all of a sudden you get a bad rep. Why does it get a bad rep? Well, people stop playing the game, or may stop playing the game. When they ask why, it's like, well, I was abused once because of X, Y, Z. It was reported, you know, I made it very aware of it, and nothing was done about it. Now, when something like that happens, regardless of any walk in life, you know, even if in real life you report something to the police, or if in work you report something to like high management or whatever, and nothing gets done about it, you lose a bit of faith in it. You lose that trust that you put in someone above you to keep you safe and protect you, and they haven't done anything about it. So that same logic applies to like video games and the video game companies behind, and all the devs and the community management team. If someone's called out, they have to look at it, and they have to look at it with a degree of severity, and they have to take it very, very seriously. They can't be just brushing it off, brushing it under the carpet, and pretend it didn't exist and it didn't happen. If they have physical proof that something is happening, which made someone or a certain demographic uncomfortable, they have to take action. And when they don't, I feel responsibility, like our responsibility as gamers, is to make sure that they take that action, to make sure that they hold not only themselves accountable for not taking the action in the first place, but to hold the person or people making the community unsafe and toxic accountable as well. But you don't want that. You want, at the end of the day, what is like, from a business side of it, what is one of the main points of making games? To make money. You're not going to make money if you're quietly or blindly harboring a toxic community that's going to drive away a large portion of people, which is also driving away money from your game and driving away traffic, and they'll get pushed to something else. And now all of a sudden your player base drops, your profits go down, it has a knock-on effect. So it is within a game company's best interests to try their best to keep everything as safe as possible for their community. And like I said, as gamers, when something bad happens that has no action taken against it, we need to call it out. We need to call it out for what it is. No sugarcoating it. Call it out for what it is. If it is shitty behavior, call it out for being shitty behavior. It should be safe for everyone. We're all here to have fun. We all game for various reasons. The reasons we game should not be because you want to shout horrible language down the microphone to someone on the other side of the world, from your living room, your game room, whatever. It shouldn't be like that. That mentality needs to go. And we have the power to change that, because the minority is obviously going to be smaller than the majority. So why don't we use our voices, speak out for people, stand up for the entire community, and don't let the minority get a louder voice, because for whatever reason, somehow, in some cases, they have a louder voice than the majority. It's crazy. And it's usually the same type of people. So let's keep trying to make gaming a safe place for everyone. Let's try and keep it fun for everyone. And let's try our best to make sure that we hold everyone accountable when it hits the fan. That is my little pep talk this week.